Hello, and welcome to the special episode of the Circus of Safety, one of our bonus episodes where we grab a listener that was tuning in. Not that we have lots of those, but we have good quality, I guess, is what we're looking for. And we go through and we have a bit of a recap and a bit of a chat about the last episode and what that looked like and what that entailed. And really excited for today's guest. You'll notice it's just me today, but again, we're going for quality here over quantity. And somebody that jumped in on the comments, and I guess this might scare a few people. If you're jumping in on the comments, you might get dragged into a show. Mate, how are you? So I really want to say, I want you to introduce yourself, and I kind of want to say your name, but then it takes away the whole introduction. You know what I mean? Although your name is on the screen, I know it seems a little bit silly, but mate, take it away. Let us know who we got with us here today, a little bit about you, and maybe a little bit about the company you work for and own.
Kia ora, Brenton. Thanks for the invitation. Long-time listener, first-time caller. So my name is Ben Redwood. I am the founder of Mutu. And we are a New Zealand startup that focuses on resource efficiency within the construction sector. And a big element of that is ensuring that the resources that are being used on construction sites are safe. So we've got a really easy to use app, which means that people can find and access resources really quickly between sites and get visibility about what exists within a business, with the goal of not buying and hiring things that already exist. And then we report on the outcomes of this around sustainability, procurement cost savings, and the safety outcomes of making sure that gear is kept maintained and serviced and calibrated. And then our customers use those reports and those numbers to present to their clients or to meet safety or sustainability standards that exist on the projects they work on.
Now, Ben, great. Thanks for coming on. Really appreciate it and your flexibility to make this happen at short notice. Because, we're obviously, none of this is scripted. We're making it up as we go. Now, I'm somebody that comes up with a lot of ideas, right? I am gonna claim I'm an ideas man. The problem I've got though, Ben, and you don't seem to have this problem, is you seem to not only be an ideas man, because the way you described Mutu and the products there, phenomenal. You've obviously got the ideas, but you can execute on them as well and actually make stuff happen. I mean, how do you sleep at night, mate? I mean, how do you make all that work? And how did you go from, I don't know, a couple of beers with a couple of mates, the concept of Mutu, and then boom, into it? I mean, how did that all come about? How do you sleep at night?
Great question. Probably better, how does my wife and kids sleep at night? Wondering what chaos Dad's up to now. But essentially, I was a mechanical engineer in a past life, and got dragged into the world of kind of tech and startups because I'm an absolute data nerd, and a lot of what kind of drives that industry forward is understanding good metrics and making decisions around that. And I was lucky enough to work for a couple of startups overseas in Amsterdam and in Melbourne. That became really successful, and that gave me the confidence to have a crack at doing something myself, kind of seeing how good, successful founders went about their work. And when I moved back to Aotearoa, I just noticed there was a real opportunity in the sustainability space around resources and the items that businesses owned, to just use those in a smarter way. And I think technology and software can really make quite a big impact in the mission to make the world a more sustainable place. The recent sustainability report that came out of the governing body basically said we've got all the technology we need to make it happen. It's just about getting it into the right people's hands and making it as impactful and as easy to use as possible. But yeah, how do I do it? I say I live on a permanent excitement and terror slider. It's nice when I'm kind of sitting in the middle because I'm excited about the future, but also terrified enough to be motivated. Gets pretty intense when it moves all the way down to the terror end of the scale, and I'm kind of wondering, oh God, how am I going to pay staff this month? And then it swings back to the other end every now and again. So I think just surrounding myself with good people and really backing your idea and having purpose has been really, really important to me on this mission. But as a first-time business owner, it's certainly been a pretty wild ride.
Well, Ben, I tell you what, I'm listening to you talk and all the things you're doing, and I am going to put it out there. I am a user of Mutu, so let's just put that on the cards. And everything you're saying about the software, I can wholeheartedly endorse. But what I might need to do actually is flag Mutu. I might need to get you in the back door here at the Circus of Safety to help us actually make something of a bunch of ragamuffins. Like you've got a lot of stuff going on there. Now I'm sorry, this is not all about you. We will get onto the topic shortly, but I
Cool.
probably I could have asked you these sort of questions probably some time ago, but I just sometimes don't. I just don't have the nous at the time. But I've got the nous now, and that's what matters. So the Circus of Safety, right, Ben? The name came about because we got tired of people doing things in the name of safety that said, "Oh, we're closing the McDonald's playground because it's a safety thing." Well, no, it's because it's raining outside. Let's just state the obvious. And we got kind of tired of people using the name of safety in vain and stuff like that. And hence how we came up with the Circus of Safety. And obviously the three of us are just a bunch of monkeys. But Mutu, I've been wanting to ask, I mean, is there a theory behind the name? What does it mean? How did you come up with it? Is it like a nickname for something? And if we're going into a territory that maybe we don't want to be going, just ixnay on the itsnay, and we'll move out of it.
We're all right, mate. So a lot of people think it's te reo Māori, and Mutu actually means kind of end or cease or stop. So Te Ao Mutu, which is a town in the Waikato, means end of the river, end of the Waikato River.
Wow.
But it's not that. It's actually Latin for borrow, lend, or share. And so, yeah, it's a lot of people think there's kind of that te reo Māori connection, which I think is something we definitely want to investigate further. No, the original name just comes from the Latin word.
I've got to apologise for Des not being here, but I'll tell you what, Des would be all over you like a wet rash, and I'll stop there. But he himself is a conveyor of foreign language. You might have even heard.
Oh.
You might have heard the disclaimers he's done, both in Greek and Latin. He's done our famous disclaimers. So,
mate, we missed an opportunity to put a few beers on the line and challenge him to what he thinks it meant. We could have some hilarious results there, right?
I might ring him prior to this going live, so he doesn't know.
Yeah, nice. I like it.
Now, cool. Well, hey, mate, listen, great. And this has been awesome working with you over the last little while in my day job and looking to roll it out. And super excited about our next stage of really harnessing the power of Mutu. So super excited. But let's get into it, eh? So last week's episode, rewarding people to be safe. And ironically, you and I caught up after the show on business-related items, but you also commented on the show. I mean, listen, you're obviously passionate enough. You know, like you said, first-time listener, long-time listener, first-time, I don't know, typer, whatever the person referred to as. I mean, you were quite. I mean, I don't know. People, I don't take things personally, but you kind of like, well, Brenton, are you into the stick? You know. What was your initial thoughts when that topic came up, rewarding people for being safe? And I mean, I was quite specific on what that was about, but I mean, what are your thoughts? What came to mind for you?
Yeah, so one of the key features we have on Mutu is ensuring equipment is safe to use. So we set reminders around equipment and make sure that the right people are notified when equipment needs to be inspected or certified or calibrated, and then allowing businesses to kind of download a report to verify that to customers or people who come on site that want to see that information. But none of that works without people, right? And so there has to be some type of input to make that all successful. So we spend a lot of time at Mutu trying to figure out what's the secret sauce to get people to open our app and react to the app correctly. And we've tried a bit of everything. And so last week I found it quite interesting where a lot of the conversation was quite binary around carrot or stick. And when it comes to rewards, like people should do exactly what their job is and never be rewarded, or you should give everybody a reward all the time. We all get participation trophies and prance around the maypole, right? And kind of figuring out which camp you're in. But when we caught up for a coffee and a chat on Monday, I think that we both kind of landed on the idea that there's a balance about how rewards and safety can be used as a tool to get better engagement around the topic. It's not the sexiest topic in the world, right? And how avoiding just rewarding people for doing their jobs, and we kind of dived into the deep world of just hiring the right people in the first place, kind of resolves that, right? But also kind of incentivizing people to do things that are potentially different or that result in change in the sector. And what we've found at Mutu is it's definitely a balance. So a key thing for us is actually working with the companies using the app to figure out how we can incentivize that habitual change at the start. So what are the things that would get people to include this into their day-to-day job? And where are the touch points we need to hit when we're rolling out a new app within the business so that people are opening it up proactively rather than constantly being berated by their manager? And then can we tie and connect rewards with that to get the type of behavior we want? And what we generally see is that at the start, rewards definitely help. So when we were rewarding staff with a monthly prize for who was the super user, who was getting rid of their tasks the most, that was all very topical. And it meant that it was kind of, this is a new piece of software the company is using, the directors were behind it, that we were getting a bit of noise from the team to say, hey, this is something we really want to roll out properly, but nobody can sustain that forever. And so we've found that going all in with the rewards and support from kind of the leadership team and getting as touch points within the rollout really helps with our adoption. And then we can kind of peter that off over time when the use of Mutu becomes more of a habitual kind of process.
So questions. Wow, so many questions.
Lay it on me.
So it's a little bit like a sugar high, right? Like, I mean, you were bribing me with donuts on Monday, I recall. Big fan of donuts, love a bit of a sugar hit. But the problem with the sugar hit, I guess, and really interested to get, I mean, you've obviously been doing this. You've been, like you said, you've been using this methodology to help engage with the tool. But once the sugar, normally if you feed, I mean, you got kids, right? You feed kids with sugar. I mean, maybe I've got some bad parenting skills, but you feed them with sugar, right? Like you pummel it into them because you want to keep them happy, right? They go off the handle, they bounce around the roof, and then the sugar hit runs out, and more often than not, they hit the deck, and it's a blubbering mess. It's tantrums, it's screaming, and finally they pass out. Is it, in your experience using this kind of rewardy type incentivization, have you found that once it moves into it, I'm assuming there's a bit of a drop off, but do you see the use maintained once you take away the sugary treats, once you take away the incentives?
It's a really good question. So a core thing for us is we back our product, and so we've got to be talking about something that makes people's lives easier and impacts their lives in a positive way. And sometimes it's actually just about getting over that initial barrier of getting them to do it the first time. And they have a fear of, this is going to be so hard, this is going to be a lot more work, what am I going to get out of this? To get them in and get them doing it. And then after they've done it once, they have a positive experience. Oh, it's actually not that bad. And then it becomes a bit more easier for us to change their habits around how they're actually operating. So, and we've just found rewards can be quite good at just getting them over that initial hump. So for sustained change, you've got to have those kind of key things, which are, this makes my life easier, it saves me time, it saves me money. Those are kind of the big holistic outcomes that you want from these type of behaviors. And you've got to be able to deliver that, whether it's an app or a process within your business or anything like that. It's got to be easy and it's got to be impactful. But those sugar hits at the start can actually be valuable to get people to get over the fear of change and actually try the new process, which then, if they have a positive experience with it, can really help with adoption long term.
Now, obviously, just super interested. There's so many questions. In fact, I'm actually glad the others aren't here, because otherwise I have to share my question time with them, right?
Well, you're all in different camps, right? So I'm quite interested about just your perspective here.
Hey, so have you found, so are there, so when you're looking to create an incentive type program, so I guess that's the broad category we're looking at for the launch of, say, something like Mutu.
Yep.
Do you find certain rewards work better than others? Like cash vouchers, food vouchers, sugary treats, barbecues, lunches. I don't know. The list could go on, right? Have you stumbled across the secret source of incentives for people?
No. Like, one of our organizations we work with does a 10% cashback for every procurement cost saved across the business. And for some people that really resonated and they went after, and other people they didn't care. I've seen people crawl over each other to get a sausage roll voucher. And so in some businesses that worked. We've generally done kind of supermarket vouchers. In a cost of living crisis, they tend to be going pretty well. But actually, I think it was more about the recognition that we found people cared more about. And so now our certificates that we give out to the super users on Mutu really relate to a metric they've moved within the organization. So you saved X number of administration hours, you kept X tons of waste out of landfill. And we found that kind of seems to be more impactful for people, because they really think, oh, I moved the needle within my business in a positive way. And so there is no kind of perfect reward that seems to fit. But again, I'm not, without turning this into a psychology lecture, Brenton, I do find that it's really about, has this made my life easier, and have I had an impact within the business, right? Do I no longer have to fill out 10 sheets of paper? And by doing this, kind of, how has this actually impacted the business and made things better?
Okay, Ben. Now, listen, only because you're a first-time caller, I've been a little bit gentle with my questions here. Right? I'm going to come in with the hard one.
Cool.
I think about halfway through this little shenanigan, and I'm really going to come in hard and heavy here. So hopefully we can still be friends after this. What do you do with those people that, no matter what you do, just won't engage? I mean, like, do you pull out the stick? Do you get me involved and I come in with a big wide stick? I mean, because I guess that's the trick, right? I mean, and I've got something I want to ask you after you respond to this. But yeah, what do you then physically do? I mean, you've come in, you've put a lot of thought into what you're doing, you've worked with the business, just no engagement. I mean, yeah, where do you go from there?
Yeah, so we have the 70-20-10 rule on Mutu. 70% of the businesses we work with, of the users within a business, get that there's a new process that's been rolled out that they need to follow. With some support from leadership, we can generally kind of get them moving, and by designing software that's really easy to use, we can get them over the line. 20% are berated constantly to do it. They're not kind of proactive with the app. They're skeptical about change, and we have to work quite hard with that group to get them over the line. And that's where having someone within the business that's kind of passionate about the change we're trying to make, and having their support becomes really, really important. And then there is just 10% who don't even know how to get into the App Store on their phone, and ask me what their Google Play password is, or basically just outright tell me, I'm never ever going to use this, right? And so I think when I started this, I was really romantic about the idea of everybody kind of coming in and using the app and it being awesome. And I've just had to accept that there are people that are just never going to do these types of things. And so we've had to, and a really important thing is, like, we work really, really closely with customers every day to figure out what they need the app to be for it to be useful in their business. And so one company just said to me, I've got these people, they're never going to use this. So you need to make it so that I can do it for them if I just call them on the phone. So the app's got to empower me to just be able to put their inputs in once I've got confirmation from them on the phone. And so we've essentially had to kind of adapt our software away from being 100% user focused to, in cases like that, administrators can just go back to doing what they were used to doing, which is calling someone up and saying, hey, is your fire extinguisher up to certification? When would the last get inspected? And the person says, yeah, I'll wander over and check it. Yeah, and then they go and put that information into the app in the head office. So again, the romantic vision I had was I'd never need to do that. Construction brought me crashing down to earth that those people exist, and we've just had to build within our processes so that they just don't become the roadblock in terms of just allowing the data to still enter, which is the really valuable piece at the top end for people like you and your role.
Oh, I'm going to have to go back, and I've got to be honest, I don't do this often. I'm going to have to do this because I'm, as you saw clearly, disorganized, coming hot to run the show, and I should have had my pen and paper because you struck a chord there, and I think it's a whole nother topic for a whole nother show, but I have to go back and listen and trigger that memory. But cool. The other thing I was going to talk to you about, and you kind of started to touch on it, I was going to ask you what your thoughts were, and you obviously believe in. Have you come across the YouTube video? I'm a big fan of it, called The First Follower.
No, I haven't.
Oh, I'll send you the link after this, mate. The First Follower. It's I can't remember who narrates it, but it's all about that exact concept, right? And there's this video of this guy. Listen, there might have been a few drugs involved. I'm not going to deny that, okay? And he's
on whose behalf, mate? yeah, no comment. Yeah.
I don't want to have to hit the explicit button again on Spotify.
Yeah. We'll just beep that out. Yeah.
Go on, it's out. And he's at a festival, I guess, which it looks like somewhere in Europe potentially, and he's out there dancing, and he's dancing away, and then he gets the first follower to come in, and most people these days, they don't want to put themselves out there. They don't want to be that guy or that girl and be laughed and ridiculed. And I think that's what you start to touch on in that 20%. Getting somebody on board that's an advocate for the software in your instance, or getting on for whatever the concept might be, right? And generating that thing. And what that does then eventually is it garnishes momentum. It creates a snowball effect, really. So the first follower turns up, and it's often the first follower that's the hardest to convince. But once you get that first follower, then the others will start to say, hey, well, that person or that principle or that concept, it can't be that bad, right? You've got a follower, and then the next one will come, and then the next one will come, and eventually you flip the momentum to whereby if you're on the outside, actually you're now the awkward one because everyone else is joining in and you're not. But while you may not be familiar with that video, it sounds like you do use that concept a little bit, right? So
not just with users, but with the sector as a whole, right?
Yeah.
And we want to partner up with thought leaders like Savory to show that, hey, look at the cool results we can have. Like, it's a risk going for a company like Mutu, right? We're relatively small. We cost money. We require input in terms of processes, but we're really confident in what we can deliver. But we've got to get it in the hands of people and get them kind of using it and telling us what they think. So, the first follow-up are the people that I'm most grateful to, who take a risk on what we're trying to do, kind of believe in what we're trying to achieve. And then that's hands down our strongest acquisition tool at Mutu, is putting logos up on our website and saying, look at some of these amazing brands that we get to work with. And it's exactly the same with safety, right? There are organizations out there who are absolutely leading the way and how it should be done and how it should be done properly, and being able to showcase those results, and other companies go, oh, actually, we should start doing that.
Yeah, no, yeah. So if you can't find the video, let me know. I'll definitely flick it out. I might actually check it
awesome,
out.
Mate. No, appreciate it. Love that stuff.
It's super simple, yet it's so effective. And but it's definitely a hard thing to achieve, but life's not easier, right?
Like the other really big thing for us is like connecting the results of a piece of software like Mutu to somebody's like deliverables within the business. So we're kind of finding a champion who wants to own Mutu and really make it work, because it means they do a better job, and then life becomes easier and it saves them time. And quickly tapping onto those people, as opposed to the people who just kind of like the idea and want to give it a crack. Actually quickly finding someone who's like, wow, okay, if I do this, I save 10 hours a week in terms of my administrative time, and I deliver X% increase of like lost time through injury on site, for example. And those are the people that are really, really motivated to make it work. You can always find someone that's like, that's a cool idea, yeah, we'll give this a go. But if it's like, this absolutely makes my life easier, they'll always go into bat for you, and they'll always put an effort in terms of making it impactful within the business.
No, cool. Now, again, I've let you do this, Ben, because I think you're a nice guy, and but now
is that on the record even now? Jeez.
There we go. We're gonna beep that one out too. But now it's time to start actually kind of getting into the nitty-gritty of this, because I think I've let you kind of lead the conversation away from the very specific sort of part of the topic that I was kind of angling at on the show the other week. and that is rewarding people for being safe. So I think, as we spoke about on the Monday after the show, and you've kind of reiterated here, I think with enough thought, and I think that's the key bit we got to, with enough thought and enough planning, and for the right reasons, offering incentives or rewards can work. There's obviously benefits to it, there's pitfalls to it, and as long as you go in effectively eyes wide open, you can use it to drive things. I guess what I was, and I'm really interested in your thoughts here, I mean, like, and this is kind of where I got on my little high horse, if we're honest about it, but I can, because I'm the one with the record button, right? Is, people getting rewarded for spotting hazards, people getting rewarded for wearing their PPE, I guess that's the bit that I'm really kind of struggling with. I get where you're coming from with your angle around, the introduction of a new system or process or whatnot, to drive that and to find that first follower in that. But I mean, what are your genuine thoughts on those people, those organisations that go into these incentive programs to reward people for wearing PPE or to reward people for reporting stuff? Thoughts, comments?
Like, you might have heard the saying, like, some people say culture eats strategy for breakfast, right? And I think there is definitely a balance there, but everything comes back to people. And if people are in an environment that they enjoy working in, and if they're in an environment where they are working for a business that they want to see succeed, and you create a culture around that, I definitely don't think that rewarding is a mandatory part. I think in those type of environments, people just work hard and they do a good job, and they want to go home at the end of the day, and they want to create a safe space for people to be working in as well. So I think while all of these are strategies, I think culture is where that all comes back to, and building a good culture around safety within your organization. And you just know it when you go onto some building sites. I spent all week going onto different construction sites, all different interior fit outs, commercial high-rise construction, earth moving and civil, everything. And there are some sites you just walk on and you just know straight away that people there are switched on, they're creating a safe environment, they care about the work they're doing. And there are some sites you work on where you're like, maybe I should put on two hard hats when you kind of stumble across that. And so, yeah, for me, that all actually comes back to the culture of what you're creating within your business and what you're creating on the site, and kind of whether people are enjoying their jobs and want to also create that culture in what they're doing.
No, great. Might have to. I just realised I probably haven't had you on one of my construction sites. We might need to get you on one of them to have a walk around. And then
I did. I went out to is it Ormiston? The hospital?
Oh, yes.
Yep.
Great. This could be awkward. One hard hat or two, Ben?
One. Well, what did you say to me the other day? Sometimes no hard hat, right? Again,
yeah,
like
if the environment doesn't require one, then yeah, no, look, and totally agree. I think that's the key there, right? I think if we can create a culture whereby we people understand the benefits and what they're contributing towards, and I think we give people the ability to empower themselves to think. I don't think, I just get up again, like rewarding people for wearing their PPE. I mean, isn't it enough reward and incentive that you're getting paid to turn up to work, firstly, and that you're going to go home and see your family? And but no, great. Hey, listen,
rewarding for the sake of rewarding, right, is not a powerful tool at all.
And it's not sustainable, I guess, and that's the key. It's not long term. It's not something that will go on forever. So as soon as you take that away for whatever reason, be it you forget, or be it money runs out, or the person that was driving that leaves, then it dies a death, right? So
100%. And also when there's time pressure suddenly on site, or there's budget pressure, or people call in sick, and all of a sudden the dynamic of your site has shifted. And people start rushing, they start making poor decisions, and how do you control those type of situations as well, right? Because those are always the situations where things go wrong.
Yep, no, definitely. Now, as we start to sort of wrap up this sort of special episode on rewarding people rewarding people for being safe, really, I want people to take away something from this, Ben. If they take away nothing other than you and me are a bunch of good blokes, Mutu is a phenomenal software. what I'd be keen to get your thoughts on, and hopefully I'm not putting you on the spot here, if you were somebody looking to create a incentive or rewards program for whatever the reason is, I know we want it to be thought out, what are some of the pitfalls you'd advise people to kind of keep in mind when coming up with their incentive program?
Yeah. Like, I think, like, have a plan. So figure out what are you actually trying to achieve, and just like we said before, just giving away certificates for the sake of it isn't valuable. You've got to do other things in conjunction with the rewards if you're trying to change behavior. And the end goal should be actually to just move away from the rewards, and people should just be doing things because they want to do them and they know that they're the right thing to do. So planning around that and figuring out kind of where that point is, I think, is really, really important. Talk to your staff about what incentives would resonate with them. Like I said before, we've had people just go crazy over sausage rolls. We've had other people just completely ignore a $500 voucher, right? So understanding kind of the things that are important to people, or the things that will help motivate them, I think is really, really key. And then finally, just connecting it all to back to culture. So how does this tie in with the culture of the business? What kind of culture are we trying to create, and how can we make it so that longer term people are doing things because, like you said, they want to go home to their families and they want to work for this company and they want to achieve good outcomes on a construction site, as opposed to just want to get out of there as quickly as possible and get a paycheck and just do the job at all costs.
No, great. Some great advice for people looking to do that. Nice, I really appreciate that. Well, Ben, listen, mate, it's been a blast. Hopefully it hasn't been too scary. Hopefully you will still continue to provide me with services outside of this little show. But no, it's been a pleasure. Can I ask if you're an existing Mutu user or you're considering Mutu, anything you can release exclusively on the show here about up and coming stuff, or anything, or what's your most exciting or most favorite part of the software that you've developed?
Like, hands down at the moment, it's seeing the dollar savings our customers are making around reusing materials between sites. I think 12 months ago, if you'd asked me what's the strongest part of Mutu, it was really around our sustainability reporting and carbon reporting, that type of thing. The pendulum has completely swung, and people just want to save cash in the current environment and get their margins up a bit more. And so we're seeing like companies saving hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, and that is significantly bigger than what I was ever expecting. And that's
also significantly more than you charge, by the way. So
yeah.
The saving,
right. But 10x, 15x kind of return on investment for what our subscriptions are. So that for me is incredibly powerful in the economy at the moment, and something that I'm really, really proud of when I see some of the numbers our businesses are pulling.
Fantastic. And yeah, I can't wait to, we've been trialing it a lot in the background, administering it a lot in the background, and really excited about the next part of our journey, releasing it to the masses, if you will, and seeing those return on investments as well as increasing, just providing a bit more assurance around some of our safety initiatives that are happening on site too. And also as part of our ESG reporting, I'm really looking forward to where we don't need those materials around and how we can partner with you and those other organisations to give those to some well-deserving organisations. So that's quite exciting. Awesome. Anything exciting planned on the personal front over the next couple of weeks?
No. Keeping the kids healthy is always a priority for me this time of year, mate. And that's about it. Just looking forward to spring and summer and ripping into it.
Fantastic. Well, Ben, listen, it's been an absolute blast. Can't wait to catch up with you again and have you contributing to the show. But again, massive thank you for joining us. And we'll keep in touch, no doubt.
Too easy, mate. Last time I ever comment.
You're not supposed to say that. That's not what you said. We haven't killed the recording.
Cut that as well. Yeah.
Well, talking about cutting, we'll catch you all later. I hope you enjoyed the show and talk soon.
Cheers, mate.